This episode of Untold Stories is sponsored by PowerSwap. You'll hear more about them later on in this episode. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. What is up, my friends? I am Charlie Shrem, and you are listening and watching another epic episode of Untold Stories, where together, twice a week, we get to dive deep with some of crypto's most influential leaders to truly understand how this movement came to be. Bitcoin, crypto, phase one, phase two, phase three, altcoins, metaverse, all these different things, different protocols, different blockchains, different DAOs, all over the industry to understand where we're going. Today, we have a very, very, very special guest. He's someone I call a very close friend. We've known each other for a very long time. Eric Benz. Eric, thank you so much for coming on Untold Stories today.
It's a real pleasure to be here, Charlie. Thank you for having me, and likewise excited to get to go down the untold path.
You've been in this industry a very long time. OG of the space. You were involved in companies like GoCoin, Uphold. You were the CEO of Changelly for a time. You were the CEO of the Bitcoin.com exchange. Still work with a lot of those folks. You kind of like come into projects, you incubate them, you like get the teams moving, you get everyone passionate and excited, and then you maintain good relationships with everyone as I've noticed. And you're kind of like me where you like to make relationships with all the different projects and companies and people that you've worked with. And now you're very excited about two different things that I'm excited to learn a lot about: the Near Protocol and the Cannadao. You know, we met when we were talking in Los Angeles a few months ago. You looked at me dead in the eye and you said, "You have to understand Near Protocol." And I dove deep. I dove deep. I want to understand like the different type of how it all works, and then I want to talk about why you got involved. You're getting involved in a cannabis DAO and everything behind that, dealing with cannabis investors. Why you think this is a way to bring it all mainstream? But I mean, where do we start? What were some of like the earliest memories that you have like in the Bitcoin space?
Yeah. So obviously, being involved so early, I think I remember the conversation we had even back in 2012. Back when we were all trying to figure out how to even get Bitcoin. And obviously, that was felt like a lifetime ago, but really only 10 years ago. So definitely a 10-year lifetime cycle in crypto. I've always been very consumer focused. I've started my career in the online gaming and financial services space, mainly focused around user adoption and how people can actually have a better experience. And when I started my career early, I quickly realized that I had a really special talent when it came to figuring out the user journey in a way that leverages innovation and technology to streamline the experience. So, being able to have a knowledge about the user and also have an idea about how to navigate the financial space with banking, I basically got involved with many Bitcoin companies early to assist them with their banking services. And, it's always been a challenge in crypto. So being able to navigate that with some of the early companies and early entrepreneurs and visionaries in the space really allowed me to get involved with some of the early exciting projects. And, with the likes of even just setting up the first cash to Bitcoin network here in America with a company called ZipZap. And that was a time when Bitcoin was at $1, and we had 400,000 locations, and that's Bitcoin was just not known yet, but it was gaining a lot of traction. And then that company was wrapped up into the first payments company, which was GoCoin, which you mentioned.
Yeah.
And all that led to this opportunity to be part of the team at Changelly and run that business for 6.5 years. And it was an experience, and we did a phenomenal job to power and continue to power most of the wallets for their swaps, from Exodus, Engine, Ledger, Coinami, BRD.
Yeah.
So you name it. If they're doing swaps within the wallet, their chances are very likely they're pulling the Changelly API. And over the years of investing and being involved and really having that skill set of acceleration, incubation, and making sure that people understand that it's okay to run a business and it's okay to have the right support in order to do so. It's allowed me to really spread my wings and really invest and be part of some exciting businesses. Now, when I left Changelly, I've had this idea. Everybody in this space knows I'm a very big cannabis advocate and proponent. I've been kind of doing cannabis legislation and making cannabis investments over the years myself. And I've always had this idea in the back of my brain about what problem we could solve using decentralization and tokenization, whilst in the spirit of community, and how can we actually make an impact. And the cannabis industry for me is so perfect in terms of an example and a real industry that's so ripe for disruption. And it just came perfect timing, and we've gone down this route of Cannadao, and I'm happy to talk more about the cannabis industry, as well as very excited to talk about the near protocol.
Cannabis is actually one of those industries. We had actually had a cannabis doctor on this show. It was like episode 100 something. We talked about like how we talked about physical fitness. We talked about my personal trainer and my cannabis doctor, who were both on the show, actually are working together now to develop this whole physical routine that involves in the five spokes of life of mental, community, health, health, wellness, everything like that. But the cannabis industry, first of all, is so early on. Like it's not even, it's still like a hodgepodge of patchwork of state legislation, and that's just in the U.S. Most of my listeners are listening here from outside of the U.S., so they know that in their places it's still illegal, but it's in on the pathway to being legal. But where I'm getting at is I've been approached and have looked at various industries that would be successful with DAOs. Like, would a film DAO work? Would a sports DAO work? And a lot of times the answer is no, because at the end of the day, most people don't know how to make movies. And so why would they be part of like a DAO involved in that? Most people, we're not all, we don't know how sports work so much. So why would we? But here's an industry that actually needs real time user engagement with the growers on the radical other end of the spectrum, right? Is that
This is exactly that. You've hit it on the head. And the biggest problem, and what you see in all these crypto cannabis projects in the past, and they tried to do something, but at the end of the day, when you target stoner culture and when you don't really identify an actual problem that needs to be solved, well, you don't really have a business. So with a Cannadao, with what we've created, and some of the pain points we've identified, it's all related to capital. These growers, whether they be small, medium, large, or businesses that happen to be related in some way to cannabis, and that can be hemp, that can be anything related, it doesn't matter what, the ability to get money from a bank is impossible. And if they do find a bank that's going to give them the money, then it's going to be extremely expensive. So, at a high level, having a DAO, the Cannadao, acting as a decentralized investment vehicle for cannabis grows and businesses, it makes a very, very specific point. It handles and delivers a specific purpose, and that's to deploy that capital to the businesses and people that need it the most. Obviously, there's a lot of nuances and moving parts within that
of
kind of
course?
structure, but at the end of the day, the great thing about the technology is the fact that now anybody in the world, no matter who they are or where they are, can be a grower. And they can be educated and involved and exposed to the cannabis industry, to the blooming cannabis industry, mind you. And they don't have to worry about touching it or smoking it. It's a completely different model. So we're not here to target stoner culture. My mission, and what I started this path on a year ago and dedicated myself to the plant, my mission is to redefine that leaf and to basically remove the stigma that's been very much associated with that leaf for so many years, and elevate cannabis, and really use community and lobbying and various other industry leading professionals and experts. We're now at a point where we need to redefine what the leaf means and represents. And as we say, the future of finance is extremely green. So what does that mean, and how can people get involved? And that's the whole point of the DAO. And with this model specifically, this DAO gets be put to work from day one, right? I mean, you buy land, the land grows weed, and the weed is then used as a revenue generation event, which gets voted on by the members of the DAO in terms of the distributions. So it's a really simple model. There are industry experts and
You're
everybody
like
else that has been.
deregulating. You're like it's like It's like
It's
allowing people to like
deregulating. Right. It's deregulating and it's destigmatizing at the same time. So we're really doing quite a lot for not only the industry, but also to provide some sort of narrative and social impact component that really allows people to understand that this plant is not only transforming multiple industries, it's transforming humanity and it's saving lives in the process. And it's really important that we start respecting and looking at cannabis. And when you see a leaf or when you hear somebody speaking about a cannabis venture or business, it's not to be like, oh, cannabis, oh my God. It's not a negative thing. It's not this gateway drug, this gun slinging, gang banging, pot smoking, laziness kind of like thing. It's actually bigger than that. It's actually much bigger than that. And it's actually much bigger than crypto from a market cap perspective. And it's only blooming even more so. So, it's our time, it's our chance to capture a lot of what's going on and make it better and make it actually utility driven. And that's the whole point of what we're trying to create in the spirit of decentralization and community.
are these DAOs the future for all sorts of industries and models, governments, you think, taxes, voting?
Um, I think there'll be a future where DAOs act as an engine of sorts. But as we know, with the beautiful thing about this world is everybody gets an option, and options people love it. I decide to wake up every day and accept 5% because I want to use my credit cards. Right, that's an option I have. Right, I don't have to, but I do because it's easy for me. And I think as you move ahead, you'll see a lot of these new toolings and new services get more efficient and more practical in terms of how they suit for the everyday person. So, yes, it's guts and glory at the moment. Will that actually play out into a DAO driven ecosystem where it's just DAO, 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 DAO? I mean, yeah. Are we going to be using the word DAO? Probably not.
Who's
So, right.
Whose fault is it that this is all stigmatized though? Like gambling, adult entertainment, cannabis. Whose fault is it financial services fault?
The American government, unfortunately. And back in the day, what you had here in America was you had a lot of political interests, especially when it came down to the slave trade and all those different farms here in America. So, what were they going to do once the tobacco farms weren't, popular anymore? They wanted cotton, right? The whole industry around cotton really is what killed off the hemp industry, and hemp was being grown. Hemp is actually the plant behind cannabis. So hemp is a much easier plant to grow. It grows much faster. It was being used for all the army textile, like all the clothing and what have you. And then the American government had some deal where they needed to put the slaves to work on the plantations because the tobacco was not doing much anymore, and they could easily grow cotton. And so cotton was voted in and given governments subsidies. And basically, they said that marijuana and hemp will make you crazy and it's illegal. And if you do it, you're going to go to jail and you're going to be hung and you're going to be killed and you're going to be just all the negative that you can imagine, or from the early like 20s, even before that. So it's been almost 100 years of cannabis is bad for you. You will go to jail. You will be locked up for a very long time. If you touch this plant, you literally will die. So these kind of things that the uh, media and government, and as you know, all the misguided information, but over decades, it creates the belief that it is bad, right? And it's just not. So breaking down and destigmatizing and removing a lot of that messaging it's going to be a challenge, and it's been an amazing process to see just these past 10 years alone. There's been an amazing maturation process that has taken place, similar to the maturation process in crypto. If you look at the actual trajectories of cannabis versus the actual trajectories of crypto in the past 10 years,
It's
it's
hand in hand.
literally identical.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, as identical as you can imagine. And so, by leveraging the synergies and relationships between both industries, and providing something that both cannabis focused businesses as well as crypto focused visionaries, entrepreneurs, and companies themselves can all have something beneficial that gives people, um, visibility on the cannabis industry, access to the crypto industry, and vice versa. So a lot of what we've created is to really give, uh, you know,
You're
to really give the cannabis.
decentralizing.
Yeah.
Sorry, what were you saying? How
No,
are you
go
doing?
ahead. Yeah, it's exactly right. We're decentralizing the whole process.
No, but you're decentralizing vertical integration. So you're not coming up with like some hodgepodge new model here. And I want the listeners to realize that. What Eric is talking about is vertical integration. In Florida, the cannabis industry is run this way. Actually, the same company, the same investors, and this is law, who own the grow have to be the ones to do everything, including the ones to be physically selling it at the counter at the store. So you're talking about vertical, it's from grow, they call it something. Where in California, you have dozens of companies in between, and you deregulate that. Same thing they did with the trucking industry, with telecommunications, with the phone industry. They deregulate these industries. They allow for competition. Most of the cannabis industry in the US is run by this vertical integration. And even the ones that aren't, it's like three or four companies, it's a monopoly. So you're talking about putting vertical integration, making it permissionless, which is amazing. So you don't need permission to join it on chain for full transparency, auditability. But, and here's the crazy thing that I want you to talk about if you can, you're adding a monetary value of culture, of a like a cultural asset layer. You're adding a monetary value to being part of the culture of cannabis, which is something that we've all wanted since we were a kid, right? What you've done is you've created a monetary value for culture.
Thank you. Thank you. And that has been my that has been exactly my passion for everything that I've tried to strive to achieve my whole career. And by attacking this elephant in the room, which nobody wants to pay attention to, it's something that needs to be done, and it's going to require an army in order to accomplish it. But an army is what I'm used to leading, and we'll get it done. And we're excited for this process because it's time. It's time to destigmatize, and it's also time to empower. And innovation is going to lead to so much amazing opportunity. And this opportunity includes regulation. It includes financial services. It includes a lot of these things. Auditability is what we need. Transparency leads to much better trust, right?
Yes. Yes, because we're not talking about closing up the books. We're talking about doing the radical opposite. As a user of cannabis, you want to know where that every leaf came from, who was involved in the process. You want the testing, but you want corruption, graft, mold, all removed from that. You want the politicians, the middlemen, you know how much bribery is taking place in the cannabis industry. You want
Oh
it
yeah.
all removed. So you're bringing it out of the dark into the light, and you're allowing the user and everyone to maintain that information, and you're desiloing everything. So why the near protocol? I mean, obviously you could do this on tons of other blockchains. You understand tech. You've been doing Bitcoin since 2012 and crypto since the advent of the word, whenever that was. You've been doing tech. Now you could do something you're passionate about. Uh, tell me about this new blockchain.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you know, before I get into it, I just want to say that the future of near is here. No, I'm just joking.
I
So
love it. The
I love
future of
I love
near is
the
near.
I yeah, I love the rhyming, but we'll get into that in a sec. I've been involved with near now for some time, being a public figure in the space, and with the different exchanges and businesses of mine, I've been able to meet a lot of the different stakeholders of near, including the founder, Ilya, and is an incredible person. And if any of you have obviously watched him speak or present, you'll understand that you know he's coming at this from a very different background, and a lot of the near team is actually from this kind of like cryptographic scene, this whole other like cryptographic kind of community. And so I got involved early, and I was also there when in Miami. I think you were there, maybe you weren't, but
Yeah.
when all the early ETH guys were in some room gathering around, and that vibe, right? It's that vibe was there, and you just got that with Near. It's like, oh my god, it's like a similar vibe, young, blooming community that's like bustling, like the seams are bursting, and I just got that vibe when I met them originally, and I just kind of started following them a bit, and this is really early. And then one of my friends, Bowen Shen, actually from Proximity Labs. Bowen Shen was actually originally from Fimbushi.
Oh,
If you
Bo
hear,
Shen.
yeah,
Oh, OG, man. I
yeah.
think he listens to the show. He's a great guy. Oh, yeah.
So my respects to Bo. Thank
Yeah,
you.
same.
Uh,
Thank you for
but
everything
but
you've done.
Bo definitely just like this guy has been around the block, and he's head of Proximity Labs, which is a $350 million DAO for a liquidity DAO for near projects. And when we started talking and reconnecting, and I understood the implications and kind of what was being architected, it became very clear that the future is here and it's near. And so yeah, the foundation and all the rest of the people I started really getting to know personally. I was in Portugal, in Lisbon, for the first NearCon event, and I got to meet every single person that I've been speaking to on chats and back and forth. And at that very event, I saw Ilya do his presentation on just the high level tech and the overview and whatever else, and I'm like, ding, ding, ding. This technology has been built from the ground up to support DAOs. Say whatever else you want. Yes, it's early. Yes, there's no liquidity. Yes, there's very little community. But at the end of the day, the technology has been built specifically to unlock the power of Web3, to unlock the value of Web3. And when you remove technology from religion, like removing religion
Yeah.
from technology, it's a difficult thing. I know, people. But when you remove religion from technology, you get what? You get actual utility. And for me, for being around so many years and seeing a lot of different things, Near Protocol has the potential to be a truly real world enterprise driven set of tools that will unlock a lot of value in the Web3 community, as well as in the legacy antiquated community, as we say, in the CFI space.
Has crypto gone mainstream?
Sorry, I'm just like, I'm so blown away because, this whole definition, this whole idea of mainstream, what does that
I
actually
don't
mean
even
anymore?
know. That's why I like
Yeah.
asking these questions because I don't
I'm going
even
through
know
all
what
these
that.
cycles. I'm going through all these cycles, like, Bitcoin was $1. Oh, let's start building
Yeah.
stuff in Bitcoin. Oh, wow. Now there's Ethereum. Let's start building stuff here. Oh, now there's this. And now I don't like mainstream. Well, yeah, I guess it is, because everybody in the
Yeah.
world is fucking talking about it. Right. So, yes. And we've done a phenomenal job and worked tirelessly, like all of us collectively as a group of visionaries and entrepreneurs and leaders, in order to actually make a difference. When you want to make impact and when you want to actually penetrate the ideas and minds of many people around the world from all different types of backgrounds, you better come at it with some fire. And I think that we've done a phenomenal job to redefine a lot of different thoughts and beliefs and to change laws, and we continue to do so. And I can't wait for the day that one of us are in a position of even more immense power. And it looks like we'll be in the presidential seat probably in the next
Yes, we
10,
will.
12 years. Yeah,
We will. We will. We will for sure. You know that it's kind of crazy where we are. Crypto has become, with Bitcoin inside of it, has become a $3 trillion borderless, stateless, leaderless economy with a hyper efficient marketplace and market that is really good with self regulations, kicking out bad actors, as we see all the time when hacks happen and things like that. The industry kind of comes and protects itself. Here we are, uh, and it's kind of insane how far we've come.
absolutely. Yeah, I mean, look, the fact of the matter is, this world is a lot more important than we give it credit to. And the simple facts are, with crypto and NFTs and tokenization and all these wonderful things that are happening, it's all about making this world a better place. And I want to really drive that home, is we're here to innovate and create value for people around the world. And the cool thing about what we're doing is it's going to solve a lot of problems, whether that happens now or whether that happens in 5 or 10 years. This will lead to a benefit for humanity and a benefit for all different types of industry. And no, I'm not talking about cannabis, even though I'm right with that as well. But I'm talking about technology, and I'm talking about the amount of dedication and work, even with you, Charlie, with, your journey, and, with the amount of energy that we spend. We don't need to do this. We do not need to continue working. We do not need anything anymore, considering what we've done already. But at the end of the day, we fucking love it. And that's why we do it, because we want to change the world and we want to make people better. And that's the whole point, because this technology allows people to become better. The knowledge is free. It allows people to become smarter and use this muscle right here, and to take control and to lead by example. And that's the wonderful, coolest thing about what we're doing.
Sorry to interrupt your regularly scheduled programming, but I wanted to tell you guys that if you're using PancakeSwap, Uniswap, DYDX, SushiSwap, you're doing it wrong. You need to be using PowerSwap, because PowerSwap is a user interface, a decentralized smart contract platform that sits on top of all of these. And when you go to PowerSwap or untoldstories.link/PowerSwap, because they're refunding your gas, if you go there, then you'll be able to, on top of Ethereum, Binance Smart Chain, and Polygon, look for the best prices for your tokens and swap and do everything in one predefined transaction on chain, instead of having to do the approval to this token, to that token, to do all these different things. PowerSwap does it all for you. It's decentralized. They just released their API version 5 that you can see everything. It's all open source. Very cool stuff. Untoldstories.link/PowerSwap. If you're using any of the other decentralized protocols, you're doing it wrong, because you need to be using the routing, beautiful PowerSwap routing system, and it's fully decentralized too. It's gorgeous. I'll talk to you guys soon. This is a religion, in a way that religions are organizations of humans. Like, we're talking about like
Correct.
reorganizing human society. This is a $3 trillion not just economy, but it's millions of people who literally subscribe to exactly what you just said. And Eric, you're American. You've lived overseas. You lived in the UK, Russia, Israel, everywhere. And you've worked for uh, companies where you're one of probably the only American there and things like that. And the world is going through probably the closest time we've ever in our generation have been to, closest of world wars, potentially. Like, who knows what's going on right now. But as like me, Charlie, right now, I look at that with such a disconnect. I don't
Mm-hmm.
look at, like, I'm in my crypto economy. I'm in my crypto world. So what does US, Russia, Ukraine have to do with me? Can you does everyone else kind of think the same thing?
Totally. It's becoming a bit of a, it's becoming quite humorous now. And, it's becoming quite humorous, to the point of, all this nonsense, and we call it in the UK chin wagging. It's all there to distract from the actual important topics and issues that are prevalent. And unfortunately, the government and, the people that want to talk about these things are so scared about the real issues at hand. I mean, you look at what's happening in America here, and it's a disaster. It's
Yeah.
unfortunate. And it's like a third world refugee camp in California now, with 60% of the entire homeless population of the United States living literally around the corner from me, by my door. And people aren't doing anything and realizing, because everybody's in this like zombie state of mind. It's like a walking apocalypse, and people want to talk about the other things that are going on to deflect from the real issues at hand. And unfortunately, that won't last too long, because people are getting smarter, and people are realizing that they can actually think for themselves now. And the cool thing about thinking for yourself is it leads to better results. And those things need to be managed appropriately. And there's going to be a huge amount of transition, especially here in the United States. But we got a long way to go, and the only
Yeah.
way forward is to leverage this set of tools, understand the space. If you haven't even had a 2 a.m. moment, go do it. Go read about it. Take a random white paper, or rather our green paper, and just like
Okay.
digest.
It's so early, it's so early. Which sectors of our industry are still needing talent, smart people, and those who are willing to do the hard work and understanding it, like layer one blockchains, GameFi, TradFi, CeFi, and look all
Yep.
these up if you don't know what they are. But you have
Yep.
all these different parts: utility tokens, art, NFTs. Where you like what? Where are there ways for folks to like really join? And why is there so much demand for layer one blockchains still?
People want to layer one is like, oh, I can build my own layer one. I can build my own community. I can get my own little apage action going. I can get my own liquidity. I can do it. I can manage it. I can win. I can lead. So that's fine. I respect that. But at
Yeah.
the end of the day, people need to just start building, and the groundwork has been laid. The framework is all there, and we just now need to make it better, and make it more efficient, and choose the right set of tools to see what is possible in creating. So yes, will there be another layer one? Maybe. But at the end of the day, there seems to be quite a lot of layer one options that are pretty, easy to use. And as far as the gaps right now, it's a big problem, because the education and the access to information, all that is free. But at the end of the day, the amount of marketing people and the amount of people communicating and creating the content and really allowing the whole ecosystem to flourish globally, it's a challenge. We need as many marketing professionals as possible. We need as many SEO professionals as possible. We need as many consumer ad, like, just from advertising, marketing,
HR,
HR, like the
accountants,
accountants, like, not just banksters.
everyone.
Those people, banksters, they're the ones realizing, yeah. What's the term my grandfather told me a long time ago? The old Jewish man. Uh, Eric, you see money, follow the money. You see money, follow the money. Well, obviously the banksters have seen the money, and they're all leaving, and they're all joining crypto. Don't you see what's happening? So the
Yeah.
same thing needs to happen in other industries, and we need to start translating a lot of this innovation into practical, utility-driven services and experiences. And once we do that, and I reckon that that'll probably take place in the next 3 to 5 years. But probably by 2028, 2030, well, we won't talk about DAOs, and we won't talk about blockchains. We're going to be in a whole
Yeah,
different level, a whole different level. I'll be an NFT speaking with you.
I know. What did what do you think we got wrong from the early days? Like if we had to go back to 2012 when we're hanging out with our friend Jake and all of us and everything. I mean, if you had said to me, Charlie, what would this world look like in year 2022, 10 years from now? I don't even know what I would have said, but what do you think you would have said?
I don't think I would have said anything different, to be honest
I would
with
have said, "Give me a beer."
you. Yeah, yeah. I mean, we all knew this was coming. We all discussed this. I think, everybody has their, oh, I shoulda, woulda, coulda, kind of thing. But at the end of the day, if I shoulda, and if I woulda, and if I coulda, then I fucking wouldn't be here right now. So, one of these things, like, yes, I could have, like, held more of that coin, but then I wouldn't have bought more of this other coin. But, like, so I can't really make a comment on that, because
Yeah.
I'm living my dream every day. Is it ridden and filled with anxious energy and stress and
every
And
day.
a lot of energy and a lot of people wanting a lot of things. Absolutely. But I fucking asked for this. I carry the weight of the world on my shoulders because I know that I can do better and I can create very impactful businesses to change the way people do things and make it a better place. So I carry that weight on my shoulders and I expect that pressure and I live for that pressure. So, yeah,
Living for the pressure. Eric Benz, thank you so much for taking the time and coming on Untold Stories today and talking about like everything that you've been up to. And I appreciate it.
absolutely. It's been a pleasure to be here. And, I'm happy to go down the untold story path anytime.
I love it. Thank you.